r/AskReddit asks students who've had slept with their teachers, at what point did your relationship turn physical? How do you feel about it now? A couple I know met as teacher, M, and student, F, at graduate school. According to her, she didn't ask him out until after the grades were in. According to him, she needed an A, but it's my dad, so he's probably kidding. 10/10ths last sentence. Hey son, you know what else? She got the D. Haha, get it? Because D means ding dong, and what? And you're adopted. Banged out my English teacher after graduation in her minivan in the middle of nowhere. We had gone for drinks and things went from there. She was married. Unfortunately for me, the van got stuck in mud and we called for a tow. Ironically, the tow guy was a firefighter who worked with her husband. Things went downhill from there. Edit, of course. My top Reddit comment is about sleeping with my teacher. And regardless of the moral implications of what happened, as I don't condone infidelity, her husband was an abusive alcoholic she was separating from. Doesn't make it okay, but things aren't so black and white when you're young. Later guys. I did it with a high school guidance counselor, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for. Yep. Details. Well, I was 17 at the time, not sure how old she was, but I would guess early 30s. I always found her attractive, but I didn't really think much of it, since I never expected anything to happen. I would assume most people wouldn't think anything is going to happen. Students were assigned a guidance counselor for academic questions and the psychological counselor was in another spot in the school. She was the academic counselor, so occasionally I would go down there and ask whatever it was I needed to know. I'm not very organized, so I'm sure I went down there a few times a year. After a while I would visit just to say hello, because she was friendly, and I was a 17-year-old who got the attention of an attractive woman, so come on Jim, a break here. Anyway, I go down there one afternoon and say hello and chat a little, and after a while she asked me how my dating life is going. Well, to be honest, not very well. I'm a quiet guy, not shy but quiet, and I'm just not confident enough as a person yet to really get myself out there. So we talk a little more about dating, and why I don't do it, and I go off to class. This goes on for a while, talking to each other about mildly personal things until one afternoon I go to visit, and she asked me what I would assume is the question that changed things. How come you have so much time to visit me? I would stay at least a half hour each time. I don't know why she didn't ask this earlier, but I didn't want to say anything, because she was kind of the only friend I had. I don't think she saw it that way, but I did. And I simply said, I like visiting you, so I make time. We sat and talked for over an hour that afternoon. A few weeks go by, and I'm walking home as a car pulls up nearby, and she gives a little honk and waves. But not the kind of wave like the wave you give to a friend or a co-worker, or whatever. It was a flirty wave, but of course at the time I didn't consider it flirty, because that was insane to me. Several more weeks pass, and I spot her car, waiting for me now across the street. I wave and start walking, but she leans her head out the window and asks if I need a lift. I say sure, why not? We begin to drive, and she says I just need to drop some things off at my apartment. Is that okay? My 17-year-old little me is having a fit, but my brain is saying don't be ridiculous. That is a fantasy and you know reality is different. She's just giving you a lift, so shut up. I was wrong. We get to her apartment and she says I can wait on the couch. She comes back from some room, sits down, and she starts telling me about how she hasn't been with anyone for over a year and it's affecting her job because she can't concentrate. I say nothing, frozen in hormonal fear. She looks at me in a way I've never seen her do, puts her hand on my leg and says, you know, out of all the students I talk to, I'm the most comfortable with you. She puts her hand on the back of my head, while this entire time I'm frozen. I don't know what to do, what to say, nothing. She tells me to relax, grabs my hand, leads me to her bedroom, and well, the rest is history. Not a teacher, but a teacher's assistant. I was a junior in college, and she was in her first year of grad school, doubling as a tar. So basically larger classes were always split into smaller sections that had to meet once a week outside of the normal class period. Anyways, I was always pulling solid grades, sat in the front, and would respond to her questions. I later found out that she hated public speaking, and was always nervous when she stood in front of our sections, so she really appreciated my participation. Plus I was always making jokes, and she liked the funny ones. I go to her office hours one day, she helps me out with a paper I was doing, and we go eat afterwards. We talked mostly about school and career goals, but also some stuff about the difficulties of dating. And then we go get drinks. And then she was getting way flirty and touching my arms and legs. I end up walking her to her apartment building. She tells me to come up and have a nightcap with her. Halfway through she asks if I'm ever gonna make a move. I put down my drink, leaned over and kissed her. We wound up be banging shortly after, and we kept it up for the rest of the school year. And yes, I got an A in the class. She got the D. When I was 17 I got the chance to go to school in the States, born in Greenland, and so I had a senior year here. The English teacher had just gotten the job there according to the other kids my age. But what happened was I needed help just speaking and learning English better, so she said she'd help me out. I'd come in after school and we'd do the flashcard BS, and eventually she started asking me what I thought about American girls and if I prefer blondes, brunettes, and etc. Questions slowly got more personal until she gave me her phone number, told me to call her a date, and she'll have plans. I was confused as hell, but when I got to her house my other head took over the thinking. After graduation, I hooked up with my old history teacher a few times. I frequently would watch his daughter when he had to work late. I was invited to go camping with the two of them. Let's have a drink to celebrate the beginning of summer. Changed quickly. I ended it very abruptly when his daughter started calling me mom. That's usually a good tip of to GTFO. Do professors count? You didn't specify as to what type of teacher, so I'm just going to assume so. In grad school I was an research assistant for a professor in her late 30s. Brilliant woman. Gorgeous redhead. Lots of tension. You could tell there was mutual attraction. Our relationship gradually veered into the personal. We would get lunch, drinks together, talk about personal things. Deep shit like the purpose of life. Her husband, also a professor, was away for the week on conference. We had a meeting to discuss a project of mine. She rescheduled to her home. I had an idea what might be up. I arrived to a cliche. She opened the door in a robe, naked underneath. Dropped the robe once we got inside. She looked me in the eyes and asked me if I wanted to go to bed with her. We had a relationship for the 2 years until I graduated. I graduated and haven't seen her since. My career took me away. How do I feel about it now? Don't think of it that often. When I do, I miss her as a person, not just for her body. One of the few people I've actually considered to be a friend in my life. One of the 3 women I've developed feelings for. Edit. And this is now my highest rated comment. After I graduated HS I saw my history teacher at a bar, and he bought me a drink, took me back to his place and we banged. I snuck out the next morning and I haven't heard from him since. I'm a male faculty member at a community college. About 7 years ago I had this student in my introduction class. She was inquisitive, motivated, and very attractive. I usually give my students nicknames, secretly, as a device to help me remember them. And I remember writing on my attendance sheet Jasmine, because she looked just like the Disney princess. I was always very professional and careful to treat her like any other student, so she didn't feel uncomfortable, as I was sure she might feel that way around the other drooling males. Well, she easily earned an A in the course, and we left for summer break. Full semester starts up, and she is in my advanced level class. She sits in the front row, and again was one of the top students in the class. She was also one of the slowest students to pack up her belongings after each session, so we usually walked out together casually talking about the exciting parts of the lesson. About week 13 out of 15, she approaches me and tells me that she has a question she needs to ask and if she can meet with me for 5 minutes or so. I was careful to meet only in public on campus because of the great stigma between attractive students and their professors. We met on a bench and she professed that she liked me and wanted to go on a date. I refused politely and stammered something about school policy, despite every molecule on my body chastising me for rejecting. After the class we became friends on Facebook, and she had recently taken some modeling photos and posted them on her profile. Welp, that was too much for me, and I sank into despair wondering if I made a mistake in choosing my career over the perfect partner. Then, over the break she emailed thanking me for the class. I immediately emailed back, doling out praise to her. She then immediately emailed me back saying that she left the college and enrolled in the university. We met up and had our first date not long after. We are currently married and have been together for almost 7 years. She is the best thing to happen to me, and I would have quit my job had I known what life would be like. However, now I have both. I feel that being a professor was what impressed her, because she is out of my league. Education pays. Uni professor. Saw this guy on Grindr when I lived on campus and thought his body looked pretty hot. Messaged him, said he was a prof on campus, so I had to send my pic first. Found out the department he taught in, and it was mine. Sent my picture on the promise he would. Sent it. Says he never realized I was bi, and he always thought I was fit. Sent his. Says bring a towel and meet at X office in 15 minutes. Met in his office, sucked me off, then banged. Start of a great FWB relationship. I ended up banging with my high school gym teacher after I graduated. I was really overweight and just not pleasant to look at in high school, but I had a huge crush on him. After graduation I lost weight and looked him up on Facebook. I said we should meet up for dinner, so we did. I told him I used to have a gigantic crush on him, which he didn't believe. He said I should go to his place for dinner sometime, and of course I was all for it. I get there, and he made a pizza, and we had some beer. Then watched TV on the couch for what seemed like an eternity, just talking and joking. That led to cuddling, and wabam, my hand was on his junk. He led me to the bedroom and we proceeded to having the best night of my life in a life. Since then he's texted me randomly wanting more. We've exchanged pictures and videos and sometimes called each other for the big O, but never got together again. So I was 13 and had just had this teacher as a 6th grade social studies teacher. We were pretty cool with each other, and she helped me with more personal problems throughout the year, and we got pretty close. So my 6th grade year ends and we keep in contact in the summer and talk to each other every few weeks about ordinary things like our summers and whatever else. Fast forward to my 7th grade Christmas break, and we are starting to talk a lot. Nothing out of the normal, just normal things like how's your vacation and things. So eventually she confesses her love to me in this huge paragraph out of the blue. It was a bit frightening, to be honest. I'm caught entirely off guard, since I had no feelings for her at all. So I was just kinda like, what the fuck? So I thought about it, and thought in my little 13-year-old mind I thought I could get laid, and just went along with all of it because why not? So we talked back and forth about meeting up, and doing it and all for about a month. We eventually meet up and banged, and then she buys me food and I go home. It was really messed up, because when we had done it, it was in her bedroom, in her bed, that she shared with her loving husband, in front of pictures of her kids. I felt it like shit, but thought of it as a once in a lifetime opportunity, so whatever. At the time I thought it was pretty awesome, but now that I think about it, I was practically a child slut getting paid with McDonald's by a woman who was trying to make me love her bidet. So we continue this for a few months, until we eventually get caught, which was a mess. She gets convicted of a few charges, and can never teach again, and stuff, which kinda sucks for her. I got off pretty easy. Parents didn't really punish me, and I was known as somewhat of a legend at my school, though it wasn't really the kind of notoriety I wanted. That was about a year ago, and life has been pretty good. I moved out of that school district, started fresh and moved in with my mom now. I regret the decision as it has messed with my life quite a bit, but I think I can move past it and just forget about it. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Also check out my recent video on the Ichiro screen. Thanks.